better get that strong cup of coffee ready because our next guest is Roger Stone. Roger worked on the Richard Nixon campaign in 1972. He was a Barry Goldwater guy. That's the old AUH2O for all of you guys that are old enough. And Roger is with us this morning, and he's been known to be working close to the Trump campaign. Roger Stone, good morning. How are you?
John, I'm delighted to be with you.
Roger, what the heck is going on in our country? Nobody knows who's on first base and who's on second.
Actually, I think it's a really exciting time in American politics because I think we're seeing a revolution. This is no longer Republican versus Democrat or even, conservative versus progressive. It's really now the establishment versus everybody. And that's why I think these old measures of does Trump have party unity? Can he win if he doesn't have the support of the Romneys and the Bushes? I think this is all irrelevant. The American people are tired of failure, and unfortunately, the policies of Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama have left us broke economically. There are no jobs. We have a foreign policy that is incoherent. We're deeply in debt. We have to borrow to do anything. This is not the American dream that most people were promised. So I think people are fed up, and that explains the rise of Donald Trump.
Well, I explained to my friends, I was in Buffalo last week, and I gave 3 different speeches, and I said, the people that are voting for Donald Trump are the ones you saw in the movie. We're mad as hell, and we're not going to take it anymore. And I said to them, about 15, 20% of the Democrats are probably going to vote for Donald Trump. Do you agree with that?
Totally. I think what we're seeing here is phenomenal. Look, you had almost now 3 million more people vote in the Republican process than the Democratic process. And when you consider that we started with 17 candidates and they started with 3 and now they're down to 2, that's pretty amazing. Donald Trump has gotten 11 million votes total just for him, and that breaks an all-time total for any Republican candidate running for president in U.S. history. In my home state of Florida, you had 125,000 new people vote in the Republican primary who never came near the Republican Party before. This is a state in which Mitt Romney only lost in the general election by 30,000 votes, yet Trump got almost 350,000 votes more in the Republican primary than Mitt Romney got 4 years ago. So these are all very, very good signs, considering how early it is. Usually, as you know, John, the Republican starts behind and has to try to make ground because there's so many more Democrats than Republicans in the United States. But in essence here, he and Hillary are going to start out almost dead even from the get-go.
Well, no matter where you go in our country, people are talking politics like they've never talked about politics before. And they said, well, it's Hillary, Trump. I mean, this is going to be some summer where, it's like Rocky Balboa fighting his big challenger those days. And people are all excited to watch the future debates.
Yeah, this is going to be a barn burner. Look, I think Bernie Sanders has to get some of the credit for this. In essence, he's the outsider in the Democratic Party, and in some ways, he and Trump have a great deal in common, particularly their rejection of these enormous globalist trade deals like NAFTA and TPP and TPA that either have or will destroy the U.S. job market. I think that gives Trump a real entree to almost a third of Bernie's supporters in the general election. I don't mean his hard left ultra-liberal supporters, but I mean the blue-collar Democrats in Ohio and Pennsylvania and New Jersey and New York who feel left behind by the New World Order economy, who realize that, that the manufacturing base of this country has been destroyed by these internationalist deals. So Trump, I think, can build on what Bernie has achieved. He's achieved a great deal considering, the guy's a 74-year-old socialist from Vermont, and he's still giving fits to a woman who everybody thought would wrap this up early.
Also the unions, there's a big movement out there that there's union people and unions that actually want to vote for Donald Trump too, I understand.
Yeah, I think we're seeing this all over, particularly in the Teamsters. where the rank and file don't want to be with Hillary, and they're starting to tell the union bosses that the rank and file are nationalists. They're proud of their country. They'd like to see the economy going again, so their children and their grandchildren might have some job opportunity. I can't think of anything that would be more discouraging than putting yourself through school or getting through school with the help of your parents, and then when you get out, there are no jobs. There are no opportunities. There's no place to go with all your training and your education. And that's where I think millennials are today. That's why I think Trump's entree to younger voters is really, really underestimated. They know what the status quo is. We have that right now. No opportunities, no jobs. And I think that a pro-job, pro-growth candidate, somebody who takes economic advice from Larry Kudlow, who is, to me, really the star when it comes to growth economics, that's the guy I want for president.
Well, there's a big controversy because United Technologies, the board chased out the old chairman, who was a terrific chairman, Louis Charavant, and the stock went down $30 billion in capitalization. They made those mistakes. And now I understand they want to close Carrier air conditioning in Indiana and move it to Mexico. And they keep moving these jobs. What do they do? They want to make an extra 2 cents in earnings? I mean, it's wrong to keep moving our plants overseas and losing all these jobs.
Well, but as you know, John, the major reason that companies do this is because the corporate tax rate in places like China is so much lower than the United States. So our corporate tax rate today is about 35. China's 25, a full 10 points lower. That's a big margin, and that's a lot of money. Now, let's say the United States, under the Trump-Kudlow plan, chopped our corporate rate to 15 or even 20. You would bring all those companies home from China, home from Mexico, home from all these countries with a lower corporate rate than we have without tariffs. You want to put the wood to China? That's the single best way to do it. Cut the corporate tax rate.
Well, I agree with you, and everybody's looking forward to that Hillary versus Trump debates. What else would you like to tell the American people before we sign off this morning?
Well, I just think there's a it's great tendency in the mainstream media here to protect Hillary, and I think that is unrealistic. She and her husband have chosen to get back in the arena, and therefore there are many, many, many things about the Clinton days that many voters don't recall. So it's a whole new day, and all of the Whitewater scandal or the pardons that were sold to the international fugitive financier Mark Rich, or the stealing of the silverware in the China when they left the White House. These kind of issues are all back on the table. And in Trump, you've got a brawler. You know him well, John. The man's a brawler. There is no place he won't go. There's nothing he won't do. There's nothing he won't say. The only thing predictable about Donald Trump is he's completely unpredictable.
Well, Roger Stone, thank you for being with us this Sunday morning. And I guess everybody needs a second cup of strong coffee. And we hope you come back with us again real soon.
John, many, many thanks for having me.
Take care. This is the Cats Roundtable. We'll be right back after these few messages.